keeping records of churches in terms of they being registered and being recognized appropriately within the country, Ghana. And so we are for the digital registration or address system, as the minister indicated.
Government has initiated steps to review the country's National Gender Policy Act 2025 to 2034 to create opportunities for all. According to the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Dr. Agnes Namomolati, the Mahama administration, since assuming office, has put in place adequate measures to fully implement the affirmative action law. There is more on this report.
The 4 days ECOWAS region consultation brought together gender ministers from the sub-region to deliberate on political advancement of women and children. While women and children make over 50% of the population in the sub-region, they remain the least represented in leadership. Speaking at the event here in Accra, Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Dr. Agnes Namomolate, revealed strides made by the government to advance the cause of women and children.
The government of Ghana, through the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, has taken steps to review the National Gender Policy 2025 to 2034 to create equal opportunities for all by mainstreaming gender concerns into national development processes. Again, through the National Youth Policy and related
Finds the very principles of equality, justice, and sustainable development. Finds the very principles of equality, justice, and sustainable development that ECOWAS stands for.
The summit offered an opportunity to assess the current state of women and youth political participation in the region, advance dialogue on the gender parity in elected bodies, and contribute to the development of a regional law that will strengthen inclusive governance and leadership by 2034.
You're watching News Tonight here on GHOne TV. After this break, we have insight and we're focusing on Ghana's cocoa sector. It's now time for us to bring you insight on news tonight. Cocoa Board has released over 800 million Ghana cedis to pay arrears owed to licensed buying companies across the country to save the sector from liquidity crisis. This follows an earlier payment of 237 million Ghana cedis, bringing total disbursements to about 1.09 billion Ghana cedis. According to the majority in Parliament, the payment forms part of emergency interventions put in place by the Mahama-led government to stabilize the sector and save it from collapse. Addressing journalists in Parliament today, Chairman of the Finance Committee, Agyabeng, disclosed that a sizable shortfall has been identified in the books of Cocoa Board, saying the company requires about 30 billion Ghana cedis in lifeline support to remain solvent.
Cocoa Board net loss increased from 283 million to about 5.9 billion in 2024. This is Debia Mboka. From 280 something million. You are hoping that it will improve. Then you wake up and it is now 5.9. If you don't stop this bleeding, 2026, Cocoa Board loss will be heading towards 10 billion. Put the vehicle in good shape, then we can support the farmer and grow the sector and be able to give the farmer very good rates and very good sustainability. That is all we are doing. So the MPP doesn't love the people of Ghana more than His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. And they don't love farmers more than us. Farmers now mudi omuzika da ze kada hono ana mo pe o masa.
Well, Agyabeng also took a swipe at the MPP administration over what he describes as mismanagement at the Cocoa Board. According to him, management under the erstwhile administration left the company in deep financial distress, warning that additional debt-driven interventions could jeopardize the sector's long-term viability.
A few days before they left office, they went and contracted and paid 48 million to bring in 80,000 bills of goods tax. These are reckless people. If it was possible in the days that we were shipping people, these are people that we have to line up and tell cocoa farmers. It is the conduct of these people that deny the government of Ghana the resources to properly take care of you at this point in time. So that we'll give everybody a cane. Cocoa farmers will ship you in tow. Then we will know who is at fault.
Well, you just heard the chairman of the Finance Committee in Parliament, Agyabeng. Well, earlier today, farmers in Western North staged a protest against the reduction in producer price per bag of cocoa to about 2,587 Ghana cedis. That brings about 41,000 per metric ton for the cocoa beans. But for Cocoa Board as an institution where today they have made some releases, we do understand as well that there has been some major improvements because the Cocoa Board itself has decided to waive its certain allowances for the remainder of the 2025-2026 cocoa season. Jerome Sam is head of corporate communications at the Ghana Cocoa Board. He has joined me via Zoom for a brief conversation. Jerome, good evening. We are grateful that you could join us. The latest news is the waiver of certain allowances. When you earlier disclosed the 20% and 10% reduction in salaries, we got an estimation of about 40 million Ghana cedis. What is the estimation we are working with now for the waiver of allowances?
Good evening, and good evening to your viewers as well. I think that it is quite important for us not to be too much concerned about as to how much we are saving from these cuts. But what is quite important is the measures that have been taken to addressing the problem. I say so because whatever savings that are being made cannot and will not be enough to possibly say that that's what we are going to use to cushion the farmer. But it is important for us to not lose sight of the fact that, the government as well as the board and management of Cocoa Board are indeed prepared to go whatever extent to make sure that the problems are being mitigated. So that I think should be our focus.
I'm grateful that you laid the context for the conversation because it brings to bear my next question. We have seen comments on social media, and you are with Cocoa Board, so you verify for us, of certain quarters not so happy by the decision to slash the salary of the Senior Staff Association members by 10%. Is this something that your outfit has taken note of? Because they also reiterate the point you make that the slash in salary and whatsoever percentage they may be will not be enough to fix the issues facing the sector. So why take the cut? They were not informed. They say the decision was taken unilaterally.
Yes, you see, this is not a point for us to argue as to whether the decision was a consultative one or not. This is not a point. Even though I'm not suggesting that the management did not consult the Senior Staff Association, that is not the case. But really, sometimes we should be guided by morality and, excuse me to say, common sense. I say so because considering the situation we do find ourselves as an industry, if the cocoa farmer on whose sweat I am paid, on whose sweat the chief executive is paid, on whose sweat a senior staff is being paid, what justification do we have to say that that person has taken a cut, but we are enjoying the full benefit or the full salary that we used to do what we used to get? Then it supposes that nothing at all has happened. But if indeed we acknowledge that something has happened, then something should do what? Something should also happen to the staff of what? The staff of Cocoa Board. So I find it quite disturbing, as it were, when people put up the argument that, we ought to have been consulted, or there should have been, a consultation with whether the unions and what have you. No, this is not the time for us to go through all the legalities and what have you. We need to save a situation, an industry that feeds more than 5 million, more than 10% of our total population. It's coming to a halt, as it were. So if we are to deal with it, this is not the time, but it requires instead pragmatic measures. So governments coming up with reforms which in no time will be implemented. Cocoa Board internally would also have to put in measures to making sure that at least we do not compound the problems that we are facing as an industry. So really, I don't get it when we espouse the argument that somebody ought to have been consulted, somebody ought to have been given this XYZ number of days, and it's needless. To me, it is needless. In as much as a staff, I am also hit by the cut. I think that it is the right thing to be done.
But legally, GHOne, and bear with me, and help us perhaps understand this fully, is there the existence of a collective bargaining agreement document signifying that you and the Senior Staff Association have agreed to a certain amount? And if there be such a document, wouldn't it be the legal way to go by meeting the association and coming to that particular compromise, rather than, whether it be true or not, taking a unilateral decision, just so you can save Cocoa Board some other legal issues?
So I have told you that the decision was not taken without consulting, the Senior Staff Association. That is not what happened. But you see, do you know that based on the same law and the policy of Cocoa Board, if government decides today that based on what is happening in the industry, I cannot continue to have the kind of staff strength that you have, so I am following the law and lay off people, it is legal. Government has that option to do what? To trigger. So if today government so decide that, hey, this is what I want to do you question it? Because the law will be followed. But it is even up to us. Sometimes there's things that we need to be a bit reasonable. That as an institution or as a company, this is where we find ourselves. We are even not on the payroll of government. We are being paid out of the sweat of what? A cocoa farmer. And this is the case the cocoa farmer has taken a hit. I am not saying that we are to sidestep the law and do whatever that you want, because we are in a society or we are in a country governed by what? Governed by laws.
Right.
Of course. But this I do not think that there has been any breach of any law that should warrant, the kind of conversation that we are having today. In fact, it is to our benefit as what? As staff of Cocoa Board. Because as I did indicate, that should government decide to take the other option, where lies your faith? Where lies your faith? But instead, management through Dr. Randiabe says that, look, the least at least we can do is to have a reduction in our salary.
Right.
Because if the farmer, until the remainder of the season, is having some cuts, we've seen a reduction, in respect of the farm gate price, it is only proper for us to also follow suit and have some form of reduction. Even though that is not the money going to be used to cushion the farmer, it will be able to at least defray some of the debt which the farmer ordinarily may be asked to do what? May be asked to defray. So I find it quite problematic when people argue this way. I find it problematic.
But GHOne, finally, before I let you go, despite all the massive work you are doing, the salary cuts, the release of some 1 billion Ghana cedis, many farmers are still a bit disgruntled. Is there any plan towards addressing some of them, engaging them to ensure that there is some uniform understanding on what government had to do now?
Look, the chief executive has been very particular about engaging with the farmers. So all the farmer groups, the chief executive have met. He met with Kokoshi, that is the parent association. He also met with the GCC farmers, that is the cooperative. He met with them and some farmer groups that he has been meeting. And he has also tasked that we go to the field and interact with the farmers. We are not expecting the farmers to sing praises for what has happened. No, that is not what we are expecting. But the most important thing is that we bring the farmer up to speed in relation to what has happened or what is happening. So if you get a farmer to understand that this is the dynamics, this is what is going on, in as much as it is unpleasant having a reduction in the person's farm gate price, the person will at least or may see reason that you did not sit somewhere and so decided to do what? To reduce the person's money. But where we are today has been necessitated by a certain unpredictable situation on the international market in respect of what? The prices of what? Cocoa beans. But it is also important for us to see and, discuss the reforms which cabinet or government has introduced, because we are having a liquidity issue. So what can we do in order to deal completely with these liquidity issues that we have been confronted with? That is why government says that now Cocoa Board will be raising funds domestically. And in order for Cocoa Board to be able to raise funds domestically, government has absorbed about 10 billion of Cocoa Board's debt. So Cocoa Board will have a strong balance sheet, go onto the domestic market and raise what? And raise bonds. In that instance or case, we will never experience the problem of what? Having no funds for the purchase of what? Cocoa. And we also will not be under the dictate of a certain off-taker or a trader who says that because I am pre-financing you, if I have bought XYZ quantum of what cocoa beans, I'm not buying again.
Right.
Then we are hot, we are stranded. That situation will be dealt with. So we need to be very particular about the reforms that are yet to have its full implementation when it gets to what it gets to Parliament. And I think that is going to be the game changer that we all have been longing for. Yes, we know, or the president is fully aware, that this decision possibly may have political implications. He is thinking about the survival of over 5 million people. Because as we speak today, the price of cocoa on the international market has further reduced, and it is being traded around $3,000. So meaning about $1,200 from the day of the announcement have reduced. Okay, has reduced.
Sure.
So if this is the situation that we are being confronted with, then we need to take draconian measures which can stand the test of time, but not to be playing around it and saying that, oh, we want to do that. No, it is time we save the industry, and that is exactly what the government has done.
GHOne, thank you so much for speaking with us. He's Head of Corporate Communications at COCOBOD. But we have been joined by Deputy General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union, Dr. Pascal Kaba. Doc, good evening and welcome to the bulletin. I just have this question for you. An extensive engagement I've had so far with Jerome Sam, who is with COCOBOD. Largely, what their position has been is that they are taking adequate steps to ensure that the farmer is protected at all costs. They are going to save and protect the farmers' interests. That's what government has been assuring. That's what COCOBOD has been reiterating so far. Has their efforts been good so far, in your own estimation?
Yeah, so as you are aware, even in our press statement that we released, we did talk about the fact that we were very happy with some of the steps being taken by government in terms of addressing the COCOBOD issue. Our only hitch had to do with the fact that certain staff members of COCOBOD had their salaries slashed without consultations to the union. And it was unfortunate when GHOne was talking, he did talk about, he was dodging, running away from the law, because those salaries are not salaries that COCOBOD decided to give to the workers. It was not the benevolence of COCOBOD that gave those workers that salary. It was a negotiated salary. Again, GHOne refused to point to the fact that this year, salaries of those workers have not been increased. And so if that in itself is a savings, or in itself is a sacrifice those workers are making. And so when you meet these very workers again on an issue that has to do with slashing their salaries, you are doing a disservice and you are creating a system that demotivates this work. What we as a union are standing in for is to prevent industrial unrest over there. Just within the course of today, we saw certain news items, write-outs flying, coming from concerned workers of COCOBOD. Who are these senior staff protesting against the salary cut? If adequate consultation were done, nobody will come and say that we are concerned workers who are protesting against the cut. And usually when consultations are done with the unions, because of our top-down approach methodology, it enables everybody to come on board and everybody accept whatever decision that is taken by the union.
Dr. Kaba, we are grateful that you could speak with us here on News Tonight. Dr. Kaba is with the General Agricultural Workers Union. He questions indeed whether truly there was some engagement really with the COCOBOD Senior Staff Association. If really there was that engagement and wasn't a unilateral decision, we wouldn't have had to face this particular situation where many are raising concerns about indeed whether or not the salary slash benefits the entire sector. And that does it for Insight. Stay with us, we have more. Purposeful lives, build lasting legacies, and show respect for one another, adding that the true worth of a person is measured by their impact in society. These were his words as he paid tribute to the late Alhaji Dr. Abubakar Sadiq Ahmed, describing him as a dedicated public servant and academic whose life exemplified service and humility. Dr. Bawumia said the late scholar's commitment to public service and mentorship should inspire especially the youth to emulate values of integrity, discipline, and sacrifice.
Alhaji Dr. Abubakar Sadiq Ahmed, former communications director of the Ghana Hajj Board and a distinguished lecturer at the University of Ghana, has passed away at the age of 63. He died after a short illness at the University of Ghana Hospital, Legon. At his 3-day Adua ceremony, former Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia reflected on his life and legacy, saying that a person's true worth is measured not by possessions, but by the impact they make. He also shared a personal story of how the late Alhaji Dr. Ahmed granted him his very first media interview.
I met him in the year 2000. I went to Legon. At that time, I was at the Bank of Ghana, and I went to speak to students in Legon for a program. And he invited me to come to Radio Universe. And that interview that he gave me was my very first interview in Ghana. I'd never spoken on any radio or TV station, never. But he gave me my very first interview in Ghana, and I've never forgotten that. We have maintained a close friendship, and it's very sad that he's not with us today.
Reflecting on the life of the legend, Chief Executive Officer of the EIB Network, Nathan Kwabena Anochie DC, popularly known as Bolore, shared how he was given his very first media work experience at the start of his career.
The man who gave me my first employment 29 years ago, when I was only 20 years, I used to be a caller into many of the programs at Radio Universe. Months after calling, I walked in because I had won a prize on Radio Universe, and Alhaji warmly received me. He asked me, and I said, I'm moving on to do my national service. I expressed the desire and interest to work at Radio Universe. And he says, look, we've never taken on a national service personnel, but go to the secretariat and check. If you are allowed, then you can come in. Alhaji believed that it is possible. I also believe that it is possible. I went to the National Service Secretariat. For 4 hours, I sat and argued my case as a 20-year-old. I left there with a letter to be the first volunteer national service person at the University of Ghana, working at Radio Universe. And it is all due to a man who believed that that dream was possible, Alhaji Abubakar Sadiq.
The final rights for Alhaji Dr. Ahmed has been scheduled for March 29, 2026, as his family prepares to honor his enduring legacy and lasting impact.
That's it for... Stay with us. We have business coming up next.
The Business Brief is brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
In the brief tonight, President John Dramani Mahama has signed the 24-hour Economy Authority Bill into law, giving full legal backing to one of the government's flagship strategies aimed at transforming the economy. The president assented to the bill at the presidency in the presence of cabinet members and the team behind the legislation. Speaking after the signing, President Mahama noted that Ghanaians had long awaited the passage of the bill, which now paves the way for the government to shift from policy planning to full implementation.
It's taking a while, but we needed to go patiently through the process to give legal effect to it. And so from now, we must move from strategy to implementation. The business sector is waiting, Ghanaian investors are waiting, foreign investors are waiting. They want to see the package of incentives that we afford them so that they can invest more and expand productivity and also create more employment for our young people. And so it's my pleasure to assent to this bill today. Thank you. And let me congratulate the team that has been working on it, our comrade Guzitando and his team. We're very grateful. Thank you very much.
Robert Wells is an economic analyst with the Association of Certified Chartered Economics. He joins me this evening on the conversation on the 24-hour Economy Authority Bill, which has now been assented to law. Robert, good evening. Grateful for your time. Given that we are seeing the passage of the law, what is the first step you are seeing government undertaking to ensure full implementation of the policy?
Through the process to give legal effect to.
Robert, if you can kindly unmute for us, we are unable to hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you. The name is Roger T.D. Wells, not Robert. So, point of correction there. Yeah, with the president's ascension on the 24-hour bill, I think it's a step in the right direction because it's going to boost business productivity and operational hours in the country, in the sense that, you see, we are going to have a broader spectrum of output that industries or factories or institutions that were working from the 9 to 5 shift or 8 to 5 shifts are now going to have the opportunity to boost productivity by running shifts into late hours, because the policy has that framework that supports activities into the night. So I think this initiative is going to really boost and expand the economic activities of industries. Aside that, there's going to be like an inflow of investment and then other technological advancement, because if people or investors realize that now the country is not only supporting investors to come in, but has legally enhanced productivity across all hours or around the clock, then it's going to give room for a lot of investors to come in and then pump in a lot of resources to support the economy, and that is going to affect the capital inflow, technological transfers, and business expansion. There are businesses that, because of the regulatory requirements, they can't operate overnight, especially with the EPA standardizations and then other agencies, MPA, controlling or bringing regulations that hinder certain industries from working throughout the night. Because of this bill, now is going to create room for a lot of people to do that, and all this is going to have a trickle-down effect on the economy, to the extent that it's going to create employment for industries for companies or institutions or industries that has maybe employment of about 1,000 staff that works only for 8 hours. If they are going to run the 3 shift, that means that the number of employees that are going to be employed is going to be increased by 2,000. And that is going to affect the unemployment situation in the country. So this bill is actually going to be a very big opportunity, or it's going to be a big game changer for Ghana and then the populace as a whole. The other thing is that it's going to have impact on what we call the exports, or what is attributed to be exporting of raw materials. When we are operating in full capacity, the raw materials that are previously exported will be processed in the country. So we are going to drift from an export or export strategy to processing or raw value added strategy, which is also going to enhance the economy and also boost our revenue generation. For instance, if we were able to process only about 50% of the raw materials, and we exported about 50% of it. Because of the 24-hour initiative or the policy that has been put into law, now we will be able to utilize all the raw materials that are readily available, and that is going to enhance the revenue generation in the country, boost the capacity, and also cause all other sectors of the economy to come into full operation. And it's going to also have a transformation on the structures of institutions, structures of the economy. You see, when we as a nation have in our laws these labor laws and then regulations about remunerations and stuff. You know, when you assign workers to work during the night, their remunerations are different. Some has to come with extra charge, extra expenses. But because now it has gone through the legal framework, I think it's going to have it controlled in a way. So employers are not going to be threatened when it comes to putting people on night shifts, because the system has made enough provisions without compromising or without putting them at risk in case there is an unforeseen event or a circumstance. So I think the 24-hour bill is a true game-changing plan for the country, Ghana, and it's going to really boost Ghana's economic activities and widen or broaden the economic landscape of the country.
Roger Wills, we are grateful that you could speak with us. He is an economic analyst and he is a certified chartered economist. Let's now bring you sports.
The Business Brief was brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
Hello, good evening. In sports tonight, Minister for Sports and Recreation, Honorable Kofi Adams, has pledged his support the sports fund. Other members of Parliament, including the Majority Leader of Parliament, Honorable Mama Yariga, and Samia Wuku, all pledged monthly salaries to the fund.
We have established the structure. Now we must build a culture of contribution around it. If we get this right, the Ghana Sports Fund will not merely finance competitions, it will finance opportunity.
Mr. Speaker, whilst I commend the Sports Minister for his 1-month donation, I am fortified in my 2-month donation of his salary. Mr. Speaker, I'm fortified in my belief that by the end of proceedings, he might move to 6 months of his salary, as he's showing leadership by example.
So we have to resort to raising funds through other channels to be able to support the Black Stars, create an atmosphere in the various stadiums where they will be playing in order to spur them on. So, Mr. Speaker, I think the statement is very welcome, and I want to commend the Minister for Sports and Recreation for showing leadership. I wish it were across all sides. I can see my brother, the former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, during whose tenure a lot of gold was mined in this country. A lot of gold by small-scale miners and large-scale miners alike. I'm expecting somebody of his standing to urge colleagues to contribute generously towards the fund. So, Mr. Speaker, on that note, I want to announce that the front bench of the majority side all hereby commit their March salary to the fund. Mr. Speaker, I am also authorized by the now Minister for Roads, who used to be on the front bench. He has also committed to spend 1 month of his salary also.
Now to Accra Hatsufolk, where their goalkeeper Solomon Agbesi has earned his first call-up to the Black Star. In our upcoming friendly matches, the Black Stars are set to face Austria and Germany in the pre-World Cup warm-up matches. And a trusted source has confirmed to EIB Sports that Agbesi has been included in the squad. Ghana will take on Austria on Friday, March 27 in Vienna, before clashing with Germany on March 30 as part of the March international fixtures. All right, still staying with the World Cup. All 104 matches of the 2026 FIFA World Cup out. FIFA President Gianni Infantino has confirmed, even with tickets still available ahead of the tournament kickoff on June 11, speaking in Florida, Infantino expressed confidence in a record-breaking demand for the first ever 48-team World Cup, which will be jointly hosted by the United States of America, Canada, and Mexico. According to him, in just 4 weeks, FIFA has received 508 million ticket requests for roughly 7 million tickets, highlighting the global excitement about the month-long event running until July 19. Well, that's it for sports. But yeah, the World Cup is going to be interesting.
It will be interesting. I'm looking forward to what happens in June. Are you ready? Are you ready for it?
We are ready. A lot we're going to be rolling out for viewers, so they should stay tuned to GHOne and EIB on all our platforms.
Great. For EIB Sports as well to turn to when it comes to the World Cup 2026, US, Mexico, and Canada.
Exactly.
We have all the live action here. Before we go, in South Africa, Belman Mugabe, who is 28, a son of former Zimbabwe leader Robert Mugabe, is in custody after a 23-year-old man believed to be a gardener was shot and injured. Police is still looking at this case. For more stories, log on to starfm.com.gh. My name is Emmanuel Agyabeng, and this was GHOne, a champion. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful evening.